Yeah, Rumble just comes up like 5 seconds later.
Let's get ready.
Don't know why, but it does.
Is that a two-shot? We on there? We're live.
Yeah, you're waving.
It's like messing with stuff, is it?
Yeah.
Is that a hand?
Yep, that's your hand right over the camera, right over my face.
Oh, Joe, can we fix this? I don't have we can stay on. I don't have comments.
Oh, okay. I'll be in a minute.
Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Show before the show. Just getting the set ready. It's a Friday. Bring it today, guys. We need help. You know, not everybody can be their best every day.
We are our best every day, even though I get locked out. You know, you guys.
I need your help, please. I'm sorry.
These boys locked me out this morning.
Where's my pen?
You said I got it, so I thought maybe you had it. Oh, you just have to go to chat right there.
Well, that's too easy.
Right. And then you can scroll down.
Can I come out and borrow a pen too?
Yeah, I'll grab you that one.
Here.
It's Friday. The show before the show. You'll see the raw. These boys locked me in. Now that they can't hear me talking. They locked me out, and it was just the scariest thing.
Yeah. What time is it? Dang, gotta get that stuff going. Whoa.
Did you almost fall off your chair again?
Yeah. Are you still saying? Were you still saying we locked you out?
Yeah, I was sneaking, telling them in a whisper so you guys couldn't hear it about how they locked me out. And it was so sad. And I was out there crying for probably 7 hours. It was so sad.
Waiting on you guys to show up to cut down some trees.
Are you cutting down somebody's trees, Joe?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Glad everybody's jumping in today. The show before the show. Friday. Let's see. Streamlab. Oh, so we don't have Streamlabs yet, right, Joe? Joe?
Not yet. I think we were supposed to have an update midweek, but I know that stuff takes time.
Hey, Michelle. Good morning, Lizzie.
Good morning.
Morning, Ben Con. Anthony, quietly in the corner. Hi, Bendy. Hi, Mary Jo. Michelle. Wait a second, trying to get everybody in. Kimberly. Roberta. David Sparks. Rocking the merch. She does. I was going to cancel the shirt, but I want to make sure we had it for everybody. We're getting closer. Hi, Michael, Stephanie, Karen. Yeah, we got everybody in there. Trying to go there. Okay. We'll talk about it. We got some things for a 9 o'clock hour free for all stuff.
It's really some good stuff.
But next, wait a second. I'm afraid to do this. All right, I did it. All right. Next Friday, we're finally talking Antarctica, everybody.
I'm so excited.
No, I'm excited.
Yay.
Because I know there's crap going on there. I mean, a lot of crap going on
really
there. I'm
is.
sorry, there just is. I'm glad you agree.
There really
Not
is.
that you have to agree, but I'm glad that you agree.
Right. We agree most of the time. Every once in a while we don't agree, but that's all right. Bindy's going to be very excited. She has been waiting with bated breath for our Antarctica show.
Really?
Yeah. She cannot wait for it.
So that's next Friday.
Yes. And yes, Bendy, it is nice and cool in the studio. That's why I usually have a jacket, because you'd think it'd be hot in here with all the equipment, but it's a little on the cool side. It's nice in here.
Most studios are cool. They're
Mhm.
I mean, because of the equipment.
Yeah.
Yes.
About halfway through, about the 9 o'clock hour, I have to put my hoodie on.
Yeah, because it keeps getting colder.
Yeah.
But that's not controlled by us.
No.
No, I'd make it colder.
Yeah. It's great. I like
I'm
it
not
cold in here.
complaining at all.
Yeah. I just start off with the jacket.
Oh my God. I worked when I did morning news in Detroit. My co-anchor had a blood condition where she was always cold. Even if it was like 75, 80 degrees, she had to have a jacket on.
She was freezing.
So imagine us co-anchoring together. We did not, that was that. So she would bring she started to bring a heater in because the but she had a heater underneath the set. And then I'm starting to sweat my ass off. So then I had to bring in like an air blower. And we had two of those things blowing, and then we're trying to work with sound.
Oh my, that must have been crazy.
No, I felt bad for her. It's just that then I couldn't sweat, and you're there for 3 hours because it's a morning show.
Yeah. And you don't want to sweat right on
And we already know how it is with husbands and wives and significant others
Absolutely.
when it comes to hot and cold.
For sure. Absolutely.
I saw a meme the other day that said, all these women out there sleeping naked with 2 covers, like 4 pillows, and the air conditioning at like 68.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Even if it's 60, I still need my blankie. I even travel and I need my blanket like a little kid.
They actually say it improves sleep.
What do you mean your blanket?
Well, no matter how cold or hot, it doesn't matter what the weather is. I use the same blanket year round. Even if I go on a trip, I bring my special red blanket.
They say that it actually improves sleep quality to sleep with the room cooler.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Let's see here. Yeah, so anyway, it's a Friday. Michelle says, I keep my room ice cold. I mean, that is an interesting one. By the way, our friend Kelly Mano is going to make time to join us every other Friday now.
So excited.
So looking forward to that.
That's
yes.
awesome.
I love that lady.
Yeah, I do too.
But she's like, no politics. No politics.
Well, that's why she can come on Fridays. Because
I effing hate politics.
Yeah, most people hate politics. I mean, you got to have them though. But yeah, so that'll be good that she comes on Friday.
Dave said she sleeps with 3 blankets. I need an ice box.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, what is that about that women?
I know. I'm surprised we've been married that long. He needs like a fan. And
I'm not going to ask you what you wear to bed.
I wear jammies.
Okay.
Yeah, I wear jammies.
Yeah, you got some Lizzie jammies?
Yep, I do have some Lizzie jammies. Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Seriously, how people like, okay, I'm a cave guy.
Yeah.
Cold and dark as possible because the first sign of light
wakes you up.
Yeah, my ass is up and I hate it.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And where I live now, there's a million birds.
Oh.
And at 5 o'clock, those birds start going off and it's a damn alarm. And it
wakes you up. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I have to have it dark too and kind of warm and a lot of blankies. But yeah, if the light comes up in my window, I'm awake and then I can't go back to bed either.
Anthony says, yeah, it's simple to be married to women that have to have a freezer of a bedroom at night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how. Got to have a heavy blanket to sleep well. Yeah, I know some women that started to get heavy blankets. It helps with a bunch of conditions too.
Yeah, I love it. The weighted blankets.
Yeah.
I have one of those, and my daughter stole it from me, and she says she sleeps better with it.
Your daughter sleeps with a weighted blanket?
My 14-year-old.
What?
She loves it. She didn't need it, but she thought it felt really cool. And so she stole my blanket and then sleeps with it. Sometimes in the summer it gets too hot, but she loves the weighted blanket. And it's right. It is. It's life changing. It's like a big hug all night without somebody sweating on you. Like when you cuddle somebody, it's great, but then you get all hot and you're like, oh, okay. But the blankie never makes you sweat.
I'd be sweating on myself.
You'd be sweating on yourself.
I do too. Those cooled pillows are key.
Yeah. It's all about the pillow.
Sorry guys, just getting a couple more things done here.
This is still the show before the show.
Yeah, we're still in the show before the show.
It's Friday. That's what you kind of get. You just never know what you're
going to get. Yeah, we're kind of all over. Yeah, let's just go. We'll go ahead. We'll start the show. All right, welcome in, guys, to cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks and Projo. It's a Friday. It is July 28th, and you're live with cancelthisshow.com. You can catch us all the time, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, and all the time on our website, cancelthisshow.com. We appreciate you guys being a part of our live interaction of this podcast, of course, TV audio. You can catch all the platforms, as always, on that same website at cancelthisshow.com. We've got TV options. We've got audio options.
Yes, we do.
By the way, though, for those who listen to the show live, you guys make the show, so we're grateful with your comments as you guys jump in and do whatever you want to do there. By the way, if you ever want to join us live, we'll send you a video link. Joe will take care of that.
Absolutely.
We had some people who were doing that in the beginning, and for some interviews, we like that. But that is an option, just reminding people. We just get so busy all the time. So it's all up to you. We appreciate you guys doing that. Okay. Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks, Projo in the house. We've got a guest coming up here at 8:15 as well. Josh Hawley got some legislation passed that's 40 years in the making. We're going to jump right into that. Donald Trump, more charges against him. He calls it harassment. The Biden family now admits, or they got caught lying, they did receive money, and Hunter admitted it publicly from China. Does it change anything? I don't know. We'll wait and see what's going to happen with that. We had another Mitch McConnell moment, this time with Dianne Feinstein. I brought her up yesterday. The woman's 90. They just hold on because, oh my God, we got to keep our numbers in the House. We got to keep our numbers in the Senate. We've got to keep people in their positions and roll them out like it's weekend at Bernie's. Even that, well, we have that in the White House.
We have that every day.
That's probably one of the best memes I've ever seen. A Joe kind of like hanging around, and Kamala and Barack are holding them up like, hey, welcome, Bernie.
That's a good one.
Weekend at Biden's.
Oh, gosh. Could you imagine?
Coke all over the place. Or they got, oh my gosh.
Could you imagine the white trash stuff that's going on in that house? Unbelievable. It gives a new meaning to the White House. It's white trash house is what I call it.
Hookers. Crack.
Yeah.
It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2.
Yes. Yes, for sure. Good analogy.
Oh my God.
Sheesh.
It is Friday in the 9 o'clock hour. We'll get more into more of our free-for-all stuff. If you guys have anything that you think we should cover, let us know. We'll jump in all of that. Some really interesting stuff regarding music. Are men who sing songs really women as well?
Oh,
and then they change the voices with AI, and then you just associate the song with an image of a person that looks like they would be singing. I don't know. Just some fun stuff to talk about. That's what we do on Fridays. By the way, next Friday, you won't want to miss it. Mark your calendars already. We dive deep with one of my favorite topics, Antarctica. Next Friday, we've got an expert. He's a national guy, but what's interesting is he's based out of the St. Louis area. Had no idea. We got so much rich conversation coming out of the St. Louis area. So we'll get into that. I'm not going to tell you his name yet, I don't want you
Keep
guys
it a
both.
secret.
I don't want you guys going and looking them up yet, but he'll be next Friday when we get into all that stuff. Once again, hey, we're just getting the show set right now. Don't go anywhere. We're going to get into these topics, the Hunter stuff, the President Trump coming up. We got Hawley. You know what? We'll come back with the live interview right now. Can you preview our interview again, Lizzie?
Absolutely. Trisha Burns is a Missouri state rep in Western St. Charles County.
Very popular.
Yeah, she's awesome. You know, and what's great about Trisha is most people really love her, but there's a small group of people that do not like her. She's got quite a few haters because she's doing things and making other people look bad because she's doing the things that people are just not willing to do or can't do. And she's really rocking it. And she's near and dear to my heart for something that she's been working with Josh Hawley. And any of you guys that remember the day that Vic was gone, we had her literally on the video chat and she had to get off because Hawley's people were calling her.
Yep.
So when she comes in, she's going to tell us all about it.
Hey, we're going to show you our partners, our advertisers. We're grateful for them right now. They're why we can do what we do. If you know of any businesses that want to partner with us, you just go to canceltheshow.com. Literally have them, or you click on a button. It's right on our partners page. How to sponsor. Our ad sheet is right there. It shows you how you can be a part of the show and get some of the success that comes in. We have people that are jumping in that are getting success out of advertising with us, and we are grateful for that. When we get into the Donald Trump situation, we want to remind everybody we've got a defendtrump.org petition that we have been using, that we have been promoting ever since the first batch of fake indictments were coming at him. And of course, those jumped out once we saw the popularity that Donald Trump had. So defendtrump.org, defendtrump.org. Like, subscribe, share the show, check out the partners page. You guys are making the show go as good as it is right now so far. As we said, last month, 500,000, over 500,000 audience reach on all of our platforms.
Can I correct you in a good way?
Oh, please.
We're over 1 million now.
What does that mean?
Well, we've doubled what the last time we talked about.
Wait, you mean from the start?
Yes.
I'm talking about the last 30 days.
Oh, yeah, the last 30 days. Well, sorry, I wanted to correct you.
But that million sounded good. You mean from when we started?
Correct.
Oh, that's good.
Correct. Yes, we hit over the million mark.
I like that number too.
That's a milestone.
Yeah, there you go.
It is. And the last month, as you can see with the number that he was saying, we have almost the biggest maximum amount of our listeners were just in like the last 3 weeks.
Hey,
So
can we, you know what? Can we do it? Can we bring Trisha in now?
Whatever you want.
Yeah, let's bring Trisha in now. If she's ready, let's bring, before we go to break.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'd like to just continue the momentum that we have and then maybe hit the break right after Trisha. Joe's like, what the Vic? What'd you do to me, man? He's like, what the hell just happened? Anyway, we were talking about Trisha and, yeah, $500,000. Alexander says $500,000 from Raising Sales, our marketing company. Aaron says, make sure you're powdered up and hydrated in this late summer in the St. Louis heat. Of course, that happens. Defendtrump.org, defendtrump.org. That is capital D and then a capital T. Capital D, capital T, defendtrump.org. You can sign the petition. We are getting that out there. We are pushing that forward. Lots of people have jumped in when it came from that as well. Greg says, 50K for a lifetime of hell, too low, way too low. I've suffered since 35 years old. We'll get into this. It's the neurological issue. He talked about this yesterday. Dysautonomia, dysautonomia with neuropathic and neuromuscular issues, 24 hours in pain. I'm assuming that's from some of the situation that he had to deal with when it comes to what we've got Trisha on to talk about as well. Bendy says the Trump indictments are getting ridiculous. Yeah, they are. The more, and of course, it's very interesting because when you look at national media, this is so serious. Oh my God, things are so serious now. Donald Trump's going down. Our old friend who we had to, I don't know if he's on the show or not, but the guy that was deleted or blocked from the show still messages me about certain issues and certain things. Let's go ahead and turn Lizzie back on and let's rock and roll. Hi, Trish. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great this morning.
Lizzie just gave you a phenomenal intro. Did you hear it?
Oh, I didn't. I'll have to replay it.
Can
Yes.
you remind our listeners who you are? Just tell us a little about yourself before we rock and roll with your great news.
Sure. I'm Missouri State Representative Tricia Burns from District 63, and that is out in Wentzville. And I was just elected in January. Well, first session was in January. Prior to that, I was an alderman for 3 years in Wentzville. But what I really believe that I've been for some time is an advocate for people, and I'm sure probably in the intro we talked about advocating for people because of atomic bomb waste.
I'm just curious. I know it's a side topic, and I'm sorry about this, but is Wentzville still one of the fastest growing cities in America?
Absolutely, for good reason.
Oh, I like that. That's a good answer too. Every time I go through Wentzville, I'm like, my gosh, it's like it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, one of the things you can look at is traffic, and it's blown me away what's happened with Wentzville in the last 5 years.
Right. Well, we're trying to keep up with the traffic for sure. It's a great place to be. It's pretty. Everything's kind of come to us at this point. We used to be pretty far out. Now you hardly have to leave the city to get what you want. And even though it's growing and it's big, it's amazing how you can, everywhere you go, you still see somebody you know.
Yes. It still has a good small town feel, but you have everything there. And I just saw some of the T-shirts. For any of you that don't know where Wentzville is, it has a great mayor. And everybody loves the mayor. Even if they don't, they love the mayor. And he's now getting merch. Do you know about the merch?
For sure.
Tell us about the merch. It's hysterical.
So the mayor is absolutely amazing. So shout out to Nick Guccione, and he's a friend of mine. And he responds to birthdays and social media as if he only had 10 friends in the whole town. Like, I don't think he misses anybody. I don't know how he does it. And then if he sees any kind of issue on any of the Facebook pages, he'll respond to that. And within 24 hours, it magically disappears. So he's become known as Tag the Mayor.
That's funny.
And then he'll always say, can't make this up. So
yes.
And for our national listeners, Wentzville is just west of the St. Louis metropolitan area, but a part of the St. Louis metropolitan area. So, Tricia Burns, we got you in right now. What's going on? The last time you were on, Lizzie said you had to get off because you and U.S. Senator Josh Hawley were taking care of some business.
Yes. So I was really excited for him to take this ball and run with it. And he did so quickly. As soon as he saw documentation, it's kind of that smoking gun, that smoking bullet, whatever, however you say that. But it showed in 1949 that the federal government knew that the waste that they were dumping would make people in the community sick. And they chose that option rather than put their workers in harm's way. Certainly wouldn't want workers in harm's way, right? But we shouldn't have then been hidden from the truth for about 50 years.
Correct.
So it was just amazing. We were like, look at this document. And he grabbed that. And next thing we know, my team was Dawn, Karen, and I. And we're sitting around the table and we get a text that says, turn on C-SPAN. And bam, there was Senator Hawley ran right to the Senate floor and said it was time for legislation for the people of our region. So that kind of felt like a huge win. This is, 50 to 80 years in the making, depending on which area, our region you're from. And yesterday, he went out and got legislation passed in the Senate.
What kind of legislation? What specifically for people who may not know what you're talking about?
Okay, so what it is specifically is it's called RECA, and that's the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act. So if you guys are familiar with the Trinity Project, or when they would go out west and they would watch the atomic bombs go off in the atmosphere, that caused a great deal of people sick through poisoning the air. Right. So the RECA is for people in the community who were made sick by the atomic bomb. Then they expanded it to include miners that would mine uranium. Right. But this whole time, what's been missing is St. Louis. We consider that the birthplace of the atomic bomb because that's where they discovered ether extraction. And that's what really enabled us to win on that front.
And that was part of the Manhattan Project, correct?
Absolutely. So that was the key piece. So this was going on in St. Louis City, and it was going on in secrecy. And what the Department of Energy, and at that time was called the Atomic Energy Commission, what they admit to saying is that, well, and first off, I kind of want to say this too. I'm glad that we're not speaking German. I'm glad that we won the war. And I'm glad that we kept people home after the atomic bomb. But we still have to look at the people in our community that were injured. And what I was saying about the workers is they said that the workers were put in harm's way without their knowledge and without protective gear. So what we tell people is if they acknowledge that the workers were doing this in secrecy without their knowledge and without protective gear, how do you think they worked with the environment and the people around them? Right. And so what I found myself for, since 2018 is when I was really a strong voice in this, how many people I would say they put an atomic bomb plant next to my high school, and people's attitude was just like, oh, yeah, that's weird, and kind of walk away.
You and I talked about that the last time you were on, just briefly. I went to that same high school, and my mom tried to fight this over 40 years ago. And what I noticed is that when you had kids there and you had a champion mom for you, they would fight it. But then your kids leave the high school and then there's a gap. And then the next group has to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. And it starts all over until you, Tricia, until you and your group were like, okay, enough is enough.
Well, thank you. It has been. And when I look at all of these documents that were uncovered, some of them I've just covered myself for Weldon over the last couple of weeks. It is so hard to watch people quoted in these papers. And we're talking about moms with dead babies. Darting Creek had, that particular parish had 7 babies die in 1 year. And they were just like pounding on these brick walls and nobody would pay attention to them. And I had that problem too. So in 2018, I started looking across the country where these lawsuits were passed, and I called every single attorney. And then they're like, well, did you call Aaron Brockovich? Yeah, twice.
Wow.
Every single one. And what I didn't want to do in my group, Chasing Answers, Did Weldon Spring Make Us Sick on Facebook, is I wasn't sure if I would ever be successful. I wasn't sure if it would have to, again, be left to another generation. But I didn't want to discourage anyone by telling them what doors were closed, because maybe they could kick one in I couldn't find with a private attorney. But I knew that that was not an option. And the reason why is the federal government and Mallinckrodt, not only did they have a hold harmless agreement, but they passed federal legislation so that they would never be held accountable out at Weldon.
Can you talk specifically now about what U.S. Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri was able to get passed yesterday? And it looked like it passed overwhelmingly as well, which I thought was good news.
Well, we got 61 votes, so we needed 60. So we passed by a small margin, even though it was more than a majority of them. And there's this RICA, it already covers several states out west. So what happened is we included Missouri to be part of this legislation. Now, it passed the Senate, but it still has to go to the House. So there's steps that we have to take to make sure that this amendment stays into this defense bill. And it was a budget bill, essentially, which was a great place to put it. Obviously, they need to pass the bill with the money in it, right?
Correct.
But we got to make sure that stays on, and then we got to get that passed through the House.
What would it do for people? What's the basis of it?
Okay, so what I want to tell people is, first off, it's not perfect and it's not a private lawsuit. And like I said, I could not find a path for a private lawsuit. It's acknowledgement, it's awareness, and it's health monitoring. One of the things that I tell people that I was lucky as a mom for my boy, we discovered just inadvertently his cancer, and it was at stage 1. And I cannot tell you how thankful I am that though we discovered he had cancer, it was discovered at stage 1. But so many other people that are impacted by this waste, they don't discover this to stage 4, because nobody expects a 30-year-old to have bladder cancer. So it's the last thing they look for. This awareness will start to tell people, hey, I need to get this screening that may not be covered by your insurance because they typically wouldn't think it makes sense. So that's huge. It also has a lump sum payment that's tax-free. Or from what I'm seeing, there's either the lump sum payment because you might have medical coverage. Otherwise, it'd have medical coverage if that's a better option.
It doesn't seem like we're ever going to get what we, and I say we, the people who suffered, deserve, I guess, correct?
There, in my opinion, being here and having this be my friends and neighbors and family, we can never make it right. And we can't legislate to bring people back or to make this right. There's been so much harm, but to be acknowledged finally and have a path forward is the best thing that we could do. And we're going to keep fighting to make the legislation better, probably to include more people and to include more illnesses.
Was this something, were you working with Cori Bush too? Or is this, because we'd heard Cori Bush's name get associated because her district, her area was also affected in that area, I guess, near the airport as well?
Right. Coldwater Creek runs all through North County. It also impacted the airport area.
Yeah.
They call it slabs, but what that means is the airport area. It impacted Laddie. And we can't forget St. Louis City because that's where they first just created this uranium and contaminated that whole area. What's bizarre about my family, and I'm sure I'm not any different than a lot of others, my mom grew up about 2 blocks away from that first plant. And then we grew up in North County. So did my husband. And then we moved out here and I went to Francis Howell. And you all know how many people followed that same path.
Yes,
so
lots followed that path for sure. For sure. And I know I went to high school when it was first being a big deal and so many kids had cancer. And that's where my mom started to fight and saw that with almost a shadow of a doubt, that's where it came from. But it just kept getting shelved and shelved and shelved until you were not going to shelve that.
Absolutely not. So I did come into the House and I met with leadership and I made it very clear that atomic bomb waste would be their next campaign issue. And I was not going to sit down. And people told me, well, it's probably going to take you 8 years of building relationships. What people didn't understand is I didn't have 8 years mentally. You know, this has already been impacting my family since 2015. I had 1 year and I knew that it had to be done immediately or I would be silenced like everyone else.
Yeah, Greg says that land at Lambert was right behind the 94th Aero Squadron.
Yes.
Paul says they also found readings, don't forget, near Jamestown Mall. That was way up north. So clearly the areas that were affected in the Show Me State of Missouri is vast, very, very vast. That's where it came from, the city, which is what Representative Burns was just telling us about. So this whole situation is fascinating. We want to get whatever we can when it comes to that. What are your chances of this passing the House? Have you been given any sort of idea from Senator Hawley or anybody else?
Well, the senator called us yesterday and we did a phone type of press conference on it as well. And he made it very clear that this is not any kind of given. This is still going to be a heavy lift, mostly because people don't understand it.
I mean, nationally.
Right, because we got to get this to pass the House. And once people hear about it, you know, once you say little kids played in a creek that the federal government knew they dumped waste in, once they realize that this was next to a high school, and then they left the kids there so that they wouldn't have a PR nightmare on their hands, it's hard to ignore. It's just hard to ignore, but it's breaking through that, getting people in the game, you know, just like you've experienced, right? You'd say,
yes.
You tell them and they'd say, huh, interesting. No, I need you to get in the game and listen to the words I'm saying.
I'm glad this is out there right now. I said this at the beginning of the week because when it comes to the Oppenheimer movie that's out right now, that's what this is all about.
Blessing. I mean, what a drop.
Perfect timing.
Well, I think it's the 75th anniversary of the Trinity.
The Trinity Project.
Right. So that was part of the timing. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This is amazing. Everything's lined up.
Couldn't be anything.
Perfectly.
It couldn't be a better time than right now to remind people, if you can, but we all know Americans' attention spans are very minute. So you do what you can do.
Right.
And
the
jump
ground
out there.
has just been shaking on this since the House, because right at the time that I was coming to the House with HCR 21 to draw attention to it. And I have to acknowledge, what happened in the house and the attention that was drawn would not have happened if I turned around and saw an empty room, but I didn't. We had the opportunity. The path was created to be heard, and 117 injured people came to the Capitol on an evening, knowing that driving home would be very difficult for them. Some of them won't be here next year, and that is just gut-wrenching. And they came to be heard, and they wanted to be recorded because they weren't sure if this would get anywhere, right? We didn't know if these videos of their testimony would have to be saved for another day. Thank God it's being heard.
We're talking with State Representative Tricia Burns. This is a question. And I know this, if you're from the St. Louis area and St. Charles County area, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't nationally, we'll try to explain it for you, where waste was dropped. Now, this is my question, because Senator Hawley also wants new testing for these areas that you were talking about. That came out this week. He wants new testing at the site of
pretty much he's saying at every single site. So Westlake,
and the government already told us, oh, everything's fine. There's nothing to see here. And there's still a massive rock pile right near Francis L. High School in St. Charles County. You've been studying, is that still safe? Because it's almost like it's a tourist attraction.
Well, that's the ridiculous part of it, right? It's got 4.5 stars for being a great place to play.
Isn't that crazy?
Right. They're having a big butterfly something going on in September.
Yeah.
Would you be hanging out there?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
That's a massive statement. And that's why I ask, because there's people who are still hanging out there, taking selfies,
now,
doing pictures.
Do I think they'll be injured and periodically, stopping by? I'm not even going to claim that, right? But I do not like that. The intention of that site is to minimize what it did to the community. That is a PR stunt. They did that exact thing at Rocky Flats. I got together with them out of Colorado. That was the plutonium plant busted by the Department of Justice. And our flyers looked exactly the same.
Wow.
It's just a marketing thing. And I just am not comfortable. I think it's dangerous to tell people that this atomic bomb waste is acceptable. And I've been in there where they've told me, the latest, they told me that it was a hill full of Vaseline and scrap metal. They've told me that it wasn't very harmful. There's just been numerous things. Here's my favorite too. You realize uranium is naturally occurring, right? But we're not talking about naturally occurring uranium.
It's not the same thing.
This is uranium made for the atomic bomb, completely different than uranium even enriched for energy.
Wow,
that's crazy.
When is the time frame of the House vote?
I don't know exactly, because they're going to be out of session for August, and we really just. It was really just a weird moment of like, I just can't believe this just happened.
Yeah.
So we all kind of sat there just in shock yesterday. Excited. I mean, so excited. I think shock. And so now we have to really strategize how we can be supportive. And it was awesome to see Senator Eric Schmidt jumping on board. He was gathering support. It's just tremendous. And I hope that trickles down into the state and into the county even more so that they too get in the game, because we're going to need all of them to reach out to members in Congress and help get this passed.
I love how I see U.S. Senator Schmidt and Hawley working together in other areas too. I mean, and it's very, very public, not like I've seen our senators work together in the past.
Well, and if you looked at my press conference, right, that was bipartisan. I think we were just intermingled with Democrats and Republicans. It didn't matter. This is our family. This is our friends, our neighbors and fellow Missourians. And I really just want to give a shout out to anybody who believes that Cori Bush, I don't care what your political stance is. She's helping people. I don't care who helps my children or your children. And the same for Senator Hawley and Senator Schmidt, right? If you're a Democrat, you need to realize these folks are here to help our kids, to clean our environment. And we need you to stand down on the nonsense, because this matters.
Yes, and this is the prime example that you have to cross the aisle sometimes.
Absolutely.
Some people that are on the left will not do it. Some people on the right will not do it. And then people just bitch and bitch and bitch and complain when you do that. But you have to get anything done. And they're doing it for the kids and
Right.
for the damaged, not for their political gain. Because this is a very rough thing that you guys are all doing.
Right.
But you're saving kids' lives. Future lives is what you're doing.
I mean, we're using huge political poker chips, if you would.
Yes, you are.
And I would do it all day, every day, to make this right. Some of the things that people don't realize is that for Weldon specifically, the water that comes from Wentzville, 90% of that comes from just a couple thousand feet away from this site. Now, I still live in Wentzville, so I'm not trying to cause any panic, but I do not think that long term, that is our solution.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I've been also working with Senator Hawley's team to say we need some testing and we need to ensure the safety of water 10 to 20 years down the road. If we had a catastrophe out there at Weldon, Wentzville could potentially be in a situation where they could be cut off from their water supply.
Wow. Hey, real
That's
quick before
scary.
you get out of here today, and if you don't want to answer, that's fine because we didn't prepare you for this. But I've always been a massive proponent of term limits when it comes to Congress. Your thoughts on term limits?
You know, I absolutely was too until I got to the House and saw how term limits impact people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching people take texts from lobbyists. It really puts the lobbyist in the advantage because there's not a lot of historical knowledge. And we have to almost depend on the lobbyist to tell us what has happened in the past. And all lobbyists are not bad. They really aren't. They carry a lot of information,
Mm-hmm.
but it does put us at a disadvantage. So I think you have some good with the bad. But part of this issue, had we had strong people that understood it, we wouldn't be starting over. Because that's what I tell people: if I continue to run, best case scenario, I only have 8 years to get a fix, and then I'm out.
Right. And then does the ball drop? That's the problem with term limits. I was like Vic, always wanted it, but
Yeah,
then
and
the
this is
more
why I ask. But
yeah.
and the reason I ask is because I look at a guy like Mitch McConnell and what happened. And I don't know if you saw this happen 2 days ago. He literally short-circuited and been slowing down health issues. And he's not the first. We've seen this happen with Republicans and Democrats. Right. And then we also had Dianne Feinstein yesterday, who's 90 years old, who had no idea what was going on while she was sitting there at a hearing. She had to be told by other people, no, this is what you're going to say. Just say no. Just say no, Diane.
It's not acceptable because
and that's why I look at the term limit. And I'm just curious for somebody who's passionate about this. You could be doing a lot of things, but you're trying to serve.
And I think every time that there's a good decision, there's always an unintended consequences, right? So in this was the unintended consequence, right? You might have a really tough topic and somebody is not an expert on it. But what you're saying there, that's not acceptable. So how do you strike a really good balance between needing to have somebody who's strong on topics, but then get into complete ridiculousness where they're not even making their own decisions that we elected them for?
Not only do I like you and respect you, but I trust you, which is why I ask you that question, because I'm like, damn, we actually have somebody who says, you know what? Believe it or not, it's one of those things. It's like, oh, all politicians, oh, they're all bad. Oh, lawyers, you can't trust them. Oh, lobbyists, you can't trust them. It's interesting to get that perspective from a lobbyist standpoint.
Yes.
Yeah, and the lobbyists have been helpful to me. There was one time last session I thought, I don't even want to hear from them. I don't want to hear their complaint. And I finally was like, all right, what do you got? And then I was like, oh, super valid.
Yeah. I was always like that too. I called everybody that didn't agree with me a rhino. I thought lobbyists were horrible. And now when you really research, there are some good things being done with people that have money. I mean, it's just the way it is. If you have money, you can get things done. And there's some very smart, wonderful lobbyists.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
rhino is so overused. And that just means that basically they're a Democrat, but they're not. Rhino, there's not as many rhinos as people think. We just don't get done what we want right that second because they don't understand that there's a path of legislation that has to be done. So It's not instantaneous.
Well, if I start hearing stuff like rhinos, to me, I'm like, okay, this is somebody who likes to share memes, look at the memes, looks at the headlines, and doesn't do their own homework. A lot of times I'll hear arguments And I think we just talked about one recently with another representative. They wanted to hang that guy and never even read his legislation.
Correct.
You know what happens?
Was that local? Was that in the state of Missouri?
State of Missouri.
Oh, okay. Right. I gotcha. Tricia Burns, Missouri State Representative, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for the support and getting this out here. I really appreciate it. Call me anytime. I'd love being on the show.
Hey, if you have ideas and things that are out there, let us know.
Okay.
We'll bring you back
absolutely.
on. That's we get insights, and that's what we can armchair quarterback. It's good to get some insight on everything that's going on, specifically when it comes to this testing and trying to get some. I know, as you said, it may not be what everybody needs or wants when it comes to financial, reparations, so to speak, with what happened to people. But at the very least, there's some sort of acknowledgement of what the government did.
Right. Thank you for having me on.
All right, Missouri State Representative Tricia Burns, glad to have her on as she spoke about what was happening when it comes to this whole situation of trying to deal with all of the radioactivity, the chemicals, you name it, that was all in the area, St. Charles area, St. Louis City area, pretty much this entire St. Louis metropolitan area. This is cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks. Pro Joe in the house running the boards as well. It is interesting what we were just talking about, guys, because I'd love to run and get to this. I brought it up with Dianne Feinstein. We showed you what happened with Mitch McConnell. We showed you that.
Yeah.
And that was scary. And, there hasn't been a lot brought up about this, but watch what happened. She's 90. She should not be there. She should not be in office. She's been very sick. She's missed tons of votes, yet she just keeps getting run out there. They won't replace her. Look at what happened with Feinstein.
Say aye. Pardon me? Aye. Yeah. I would like to support a yes vote on this. It provides $823 billion. That's an increase of $26 billion for the Department of Defense. And it funds priorities submitted.
She's talking about the
Just
wrong
say
stuff.
Okay, just aye.
Thank you.
Leave that crap.
You can't make that stuff up either.
No, she doesn't even. She's talking about different items.
Yes.
And she's over a large group of people.
Yes.
But if you look at who her replacement could be, guess what? There's a Republican who they think or is polling extremely well in that important area. So, no, we're going to continue to put there. And she's like, what? What do I do? Okay. Yeah. Aye. Welcome to the United States of America when it comes to our Congress. I mean, you put somebody, we were talking about Josh Hawley sitting right next to something like that.
Right.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh my God.
That is just crazy. And it's like they will even prop up dead people as long as they can get the vote.
Well, we've seen it and we've shown you everything that's happened clearly with Joe Biden. And that's why I asked Tricia the question about term limits.
Yes.
Mitch McConnell, just to be fair, because I'm always fair whether you like it or not, or whether you agree with it or not, Mitch McConnell should not be in office. Dianne Feinstein should not be in office. And they're not the only two people either. They're just gotten caught on camera. Bendy calls it elder abuse. We continue to show you these things that happen with Biden, that happen with other people are in that situation. Age is a problem.
Yes.
It's a massive problem. Now, some people are, sharp as a tack.
Right.
With age, but those two are not.
No, they're not.
And you can't, I'm fine. I'm fine.
They're not fine.
My Mitch McConnell. I'm sorry. Aaron says, did you see the video of Fetterman using a text-to-talk tablet to communicate?
Oh, my God.
Yes, I heard about it. I saw a meme of it. But he's had some problems, some issues from the moment that he came in there. That's why I brought that up, wanted to bring up the Feinstein issue. Guys, there's so much crap that continues to go on. And then you get into the whole situation with Republican, Democrats, Republicans, an election coming up. Look this way, look that way. The one thing that that was creepy, Vic. Oh, what do you mean? I know. I don't want to get
It's
into that
creepy
again.
because it's so accurate. I mean, it's so creepy. It
Starting to turn
is.
into my Bill Clinton. I don't know.
How come all the Democrats do sound the same? Think about that.
Didn't do anything to that girl. Not that she won. I don't know. I can do it better than that. Anyway, yeah, Bill Clinton. Dear God. Guys, one thing, if you didn't happen in the Hunter Biden situation that was going on that we didn't get into yesterday, I didn't even see it until yesterday. He actually admitted during his court hearing Wednesday that, yes, indeed, he received $600,000 from the Communist Republic of China. He admitted it. This goes against everything that Joe Biden said, where nobody in our family received any money from China. So now he has lied to the American people on top of it. He doesn't know where he is. Democrats know that he is not the guy. Things are going south in a hurry for the Democrats, so much so that many of us think that it's on purpose, whether it is or whether it isn't. By the way, everything that we've been saying in the show, you hear Joe Rogan's like a week behind.
He is. I've noticed.
But he repeats everything that we say.
Yes.
So thank you, Joe. And I see him getting all these national headlines for all the things that we're saying.
We did a week earlier.
No, that's nothing against Joe. I mean, they plan their
good.
shows out. I mean, he's the best of the best.
I was going to say, you didn't know Joe Rogan listened every day?
Yeah.
He does. He does listen.
But if you see his shows and what he's saying, and the national media is picking up, like, can you believe Joe Rogan said that he doesn't think that Joe Biden's going to be running for president? Yeah, I can believe it because we've been saying it. We've been talking about it. Anyway, with that whole situation coming out, he comes out and says, oh, yeah, I accepted $600,000 from China. And national media doesn't cover it, which is why you can't trust national media and local media. I'm sorry, unless it's local stories. Maybe the weather. I don't know.
You can't even trust the weather.
No, I don't know.
Just look at your phone for the weather.
But he admitted to the federal judge that he received it. And this goes clearly against, quote, Joe Biden stating, nobody in my family made money from China. So more of that's going to come out. That starts to become a big ordeal. Okay, are we surprised then? What happened yesterday? Oh, yeah. We're going to throw some more charges at Trump. And you knew this was going to happen to try to take away some of the sting that the Biden family is receiving. If you don't believe our government is dirty as hell, the DOJ is dirty as hell, that the Biden administration is dirty as hell, you look no further than what is going on right now. There is a playbook and it is clear. And I hope the entire American people, the American society, wakes up and wakes up fast. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, it's not right. Even if you're a Democrat, you can't feel good. You'd have to feel slimy about what the DNC, what that Democratic deep state is all about right now from a national standpoint. It's slimy. It's not right. It's not just. It's not fair. We all should be about fairness, liberty, freedom, justice, doing things the right way. That's not the right way. It's not at all. And they've been going after Trump for a long time. This is staged out. If they come after Hunter and Joe, let's go after Trump. We'll throw something against the wall to see if we can get anything to stick. It's exactly what's happening right now. And we have seen this happen over and over and over and over again. Okay, so it continues to happen. Well, guess what? The Democrats are a bunch of dumbasses for continuing this. And it almost makes me think that they know what's going to happen.
They do.
What's it going to do with Donald Trump? His poll numbers continue to go up.
Right.
Biden will not, cannot, won't beat Donald Trump in any election if he were there. But I told you, I still don't think he's going to be there. Okay. With that being said, is there somebody else that they plan on running against Donald Trump? Okay. So Trump gets the latest charges against him, of course. And we don't have time to break down Jack Smith, but if you look at special counsel Jack Smith, slimy. If you just look at the past and how things are done. Okay, so what did Trump do yesterday when they said this? When he found out, he's like, quote, it's harassment, it's abuse. This is what you get for leading the polls for the White House in 2024.
Yep.
It's exactly what you get. And it also is one of those situations of politics. You have to deal with this crap if you're going to go ahead and try to run. And if you have a chance to win, you're going to get attacked.
For sure.
So now Of course, previously, Trump pleaded not guilty to 37 counts, including willful retention of national defense information, conspiracy to obstruct justice, and false statements. So he continued to say it's election interference at its highest level, and it continues on and on and on. They're harassing my company. They're harassing my family. And by far, least importantly of all, they're harassing me. He says this is prosecutorial misconduct used at a level never seen before. If I weren't leading Biden by a lot in numerous polls and wasn't going to be the Republican nominee, it wouldn't be happening. It wouldn't be happening.
No, they would be leaving him alone. They wouldn't say another thing to him or his family.
And as he also says, but I am way up as a Republican and way up in the general election, and this is what you get. Our country is suffering from DOJ abuse. So it was just sad. We knew this was all going to come down. It did yesterday because of what's happening with Hunter Biden, what's happening with the Biden administration, what's happening with Mayorkas at the border. He's getting grilled now in D.C. Once again, there's not one good thing that's happening with this administration. Not one. We have begged people to tell us what good is happening. I think I did. The stock market has, I think, gone up for 13 straight days. I will be honest, but even that's small, and we were already so low as it was. Lizzie, is, as you say, he's crucified on a daily basis.
Daily basis, he's crucified. And he was loved before. Look at all the people, there was rappers and things like that would make songs about they want to be like Trump.
They still are.
They are. But then some of them now are backpedaling on that, or they just act like they never sang it. But the majority of the people, whether people want to say this or not, don't like the crucifixion of the Trump family. It's our media, it's the left, and it's sad. And one of the listeners was talking about how virtuous the Republicans are, and that's the problem. They try to be moral and do the right thing, because there's even a couple Republicans that want to stop the impeachment to Biden. And it's because they think it would be a tit for tat thing. It isn't. Biden is doing impeachable things. It is not the same thing as Trump. And it's surprising. Some of even the Republicans that I admire are now coming out and saying, oh, let's not impeach him. Let's do the right thing. And it almost makes me lose hope on any of the higher up Republicans, because it's like, what is that? Senator Kennedy? I can't remember what his first name is, but he talks with the Southern drawl, and Rand Paul. Both of them are like, oh, let's not impeach him right now. It's not the right thing to do. If they were right in front of me, I'd be like, come on, man. I mean, give me a break. What he's doing, they're making a mockery of everything, and we're just going to let him off? Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Well, you've got another situation too that's happening right now we want to cover. And of course, we'll have some more fun during our 9 o'clock hour. We'll just kind of go off the rails a little bit with some things.
Of course we will.
We were covering some of the news things that were going on. The Trump situation happened. The Hunter Biden, just to remind everybody that once again, if anybody tries to tell you, oh, Republicans, oh, conservatives, oh, independents are just on a witch hunt for the Bidens, he has now been caught lying about the family interest in regards to not only taking money from another country, but communist China, working with communist China. The president of the United States working with communist China as a vice president. And as I've said on the show a few times, don't think for a second that Obama didn't know, because he is too sharp not to know that those things were going on. Now you have another massive issue that's going on. And our friend John Rourke from Operation Cleanup at the Border, nobody knows more about the border than John Rourke, been there 11 times in the last 2.5 years. And he told us about families and kids being used.
Yes. Kids
are now being used more than any time in recent history to get across the border.
Yes.
Mayorkas, the Homeland Security Director, Alejandro Mayorkas, is still saying there's not an issue at the border. But according to the Customs and Border Protection statistics, this is what blew my mind. The number of migrant families with children crossing that actual southern border has tripled just in the last 2 months. Okay, tripled.
That's awful.
790 in early June is what you'd had now, more than about 2,300 families just in the last few months. It's tripled. Why? And where are they coming from? Well, obviously, to get into this country, are the kids even the same kids that the parents are using? We've also been told that kids will be used over and over again
Yes.
as like product kids, meaning
Mm-hmm.
they're used as a posture kid.
Yes.
They're, we'll be easier. It'll be easy for us to get across the border if we have, and the kids are
Correct.
just fake kids.
They're not even often their kids. And these kids are used in so many manners for the border. They're bringing these kids in and they're not their own. They don't even know who they are. They don't have any identification. And that's why they tell people, look when you're on a bus or a plane or at a truck stop or a rest stop. If you see a kid looking dazed and confused, you might want to walk over to them and even say, is that your daddy?
Yeah.
Is that whatever? Because they're finding every day smart people that are looking for this are saving children. We can save them right here by doing that.
I don't know if people understand or realize this because we have our own lives to deal with. And
Correct.
maybe you don't care about if you're not at the border, but here's what's going on. Right now with the Biden administration, if you are a migrant, if you're an illegal alien crossing the border with a children, one or more children under the age of 18, you're not detained.
Correct.
So
Mhm.
that's why the kids, we found another little loophole. We found another situation that we can use. But if you're a single adult, you are detained.
Correct.
Allegedly detained.
Allegedly. They're
But
detained
that
more
is-
often. Anyway.
That's written rule. They're not detaining you if you have kids.
Correct.
So the kids get smuggled. The kids are coming up
Mhm.
from Central America,
Yes.
Mexico, and all parts of Central America. We've seen it happening. So it's easy to get in through. Now, the Biden administration originally suggested family imprisonment as a possible deterrent to migrants. But then when the DHS officials got involved, they predicted that the numbers would grow because Title 42 was repealed. Every situation is a bad one for the Biden administration. We
Yes.
continue to ask Democrats, explain the actions of your president. Explain why this is happening. Where the hell is Kamala Harris? I mean, not only from the border standpoint, but in general. Things could not be any better. If you don't see the invasion coming, which we have talked about, you're not opening your eyes. Clearly, the United States government wants these people here. They want the illegals, and we've heard from everybody talking about it. And then, of course, with the movie Sound of Freedom, and there's unfortunately a slave traffic,
Yes. So
sex
sad.
trafficking situation that's still going on. And where's the national media sitting at the border every single day? They're not there.
No, they ignore it.
Donald Trump has more indictments coming his way. This is so bad. Once again, which is why their ratings have plummeted.
Yes.
Local news, national news, plummeting.
Mhm.
You've got to cover the stories that matter. You've got to get into the situations that are real. And if you haven't been affected by illegal immigration yet, you will be. It'll happen soon
Everyone
enough.
will be.
Jessica says, I have firsthand knowledge of meat packing towns that turn their heads and send in a bunch of Somalians. Let them work at the plants and encourage them to pretend to be school age and then go to our public schools.
Mhm. She's right. That's
Is that in
happening.
the state of Missouri?
Well, I don't know if she's referring to that as the state of Missouri, but it definitely is. I got a phone call yesterday from someone that she is wanting to be on the show when she comes back into town, but she's seeing that even in the Illinois area. She's not from here. She is actually from Iraq, and she's over here now, and they are using the kids. They want to hire her because she can speak different languages to assimilate all of these kids not only into the school, but they're old. They're not like fifth grade, and they're putting them saying they're fifth grade and changing their birthdays. And some of them are like 18 years old. And so you've got adults coming into our schools in America, and they look smaller. And so then they pass off as our kids. And so you might be sending your third grader in the bathroom with an 18-year-old, and it's happening everywhere. I just got a phone call about that, and she'll be on talking about that. So I have no doubt that Jeannie and Jessica and all of us that have seen these things, it's happening. And it seems like it's just so Twilight Zone stuff, but you have to really watch these days who's in your kids' classrooms. It's no longer, is the teacher a meanie, or is it no longer just critical race theory, or it's no longer Common Core. How old are the kids in your kids' classrooms, and are these illegals that are criminals? That's what we have to worry about today with raising our kids.
What?
Yes, it's the truth. People are coming in and registering in schools that are adult age for different ages, getting into our schools. Why? I'm not sure what their motives are. I really don't, other than they want an education, or do they want to infiltrate our schools for some reason? But it's happening.
Did
right
you say
here.
25, or is that from our chat line? Somebody said 25 years old. They're 25 years old.
There's people that are old. That was said on the chat line, and I repeated it. But there's people that are like 18 to 25 that are in our high schools that should have been, they're adults. They're pushing 25, 26 that are in our high schools. And then there's people that are like 16, 17 are down in our grade schools, and they're illegal. But the schools, and you can check almost any public school, they don't have to follow the rules that our children do. They don't have birth certificates. They're still letting them into our schools. St. Louis City public schools are getting inundated with that, which you would assume it would happen more there, probably these big cities. But we need to look at Fort Zumwalt. Even in the St. Charles County area, they have a humongous problem right now of children that do not speak English. They think they're probably 5 years older than they are. And the educators who have a good heart and don't understand this are like, well, it's okay if this 17-year-old can be in class with a 12-year-old because that's their academic level. And that's happening everywhere.
It's specifically in the cities as well, because you have oh my God. And Kathy says, do not speak English.
Right. And they have no immunization records.
I was just getting ready to say, I wonder if they have to do the sticky poke. Before they can go.
No,
in.
they don't.
Okay, so
they don't.
we're required.
No,
to do
we
that?
are.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, we're told.
That makes perfect sense.
Exactly. That's where a lot of people saw the farce in all of this. They want to do the sticky poke on all of us. And we all have our opinions as to why they're doing that. Some people really feel that for their health, they need it. I'm of the person that do not trust it and am just incensed that they would try to make me take it. But all of these illegals that are coming into our children's schools are not made to have shit. They don't have immunizations. They don't have birth certificates. They even look much older. But the educators, and I am not blaming teachers. This is not what I'm doing. They don't have any control over this. But the administration is being told by someone. Who's that someone? Is it our governors? Is it our federal government? Who is that is allowing kids 5 to 7 years older into the classrooms with our kids? And it's happening everywhere. Talk to any educator, particularly in the public school system. I don't think the private schools are having to deal with this, but the public schools everywhere. And if you don't think it's going on in your small town, go talk to a teacher. Go talk to several teachers. It's happening everywhere. Kids are coming here to America from everywhere, and we don't even know really where they're from, because they don't have any ID.
Now, we're a national show, and I don't know how it is in other parts of the country, but I can tell you this. There are a lot of private schools throughout the St. Louis metro area. And yeah, it's difficult. It's very, very difficult on families to come up with money to go to private schools.
Yes,
But I'm going to tell you right now, they will work with families.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just if somebody, I'm not trying to promote it. Yes, I've had kids that have gone to public and private.
Correct.
And I went to both public and private.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I am a public school kids, but my older kids were in public, and I pulled them out for much lesser. And it was just, I thought my children deserved a better education because of the Common Core and the whole group learning and all of that. Now it's a matter of safety, I think, these days.
Well, there's good public schools. Don't get me wrong.
There's a lot of good public schools.
But my point in the whole matter is the fact that if that was a choice for somebody, where even in St. Louis City or in cities across America, they'll work with you. However, there's waiting lists now. There's more and more waiting lists for private schools.
Absolutely.
Than they've had before, because there are parents that are starting to see this. And just for a second, don't think for a second that you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to check into it first.
Yes.
Now, it's not easy. Lizzie's
No.
talked about that. I've talked about that as well. And it doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, but if these are situations that are going to happen and not going off the rails right now, I'd never even heard that there were all of these older kids that were trying to be put into schools and
That is
younger
true.
classrooms.
Mhm.
But it makes you wonder, but it is possible. Abe says, I don't know about the age issue, but the inability to speak English is a real thing. No birth certificate, no immunization required. This is the Fort Zumwalt district. That's a bit scary.
Mhm.
Kevin says, I was at the Walmart in Manchester and saw Manchester in the St. Louis area. I saw a carload of 6 or 7 young South American men come into the store.
Yes.
Nobody spoke English.
Correct.
I tried to speak to them. They had no idea what I was saying. Jessica says, Vic, it's very real what's
It is very
happening in
real.
the classrooms
Yes.
with kids. And then Kathy says, of course, in the meantime, the stream of illegals continue to cross the border as we speak. As we just said, almost 2,300 families just in the last 2 months estimated crossing with kids, and it has tripled in the last 2 months. So anybody that tells you, oh, the border, there's not as many crossings as before, everything's fine, it's a lie.
It is a lie.
And it's a Democratic talking point to try to get you to not think about that. And I pray that none of us, and especially you who are voting for Biden and think that everything's fine at the border, I pray that you are not affected in any negative way by some illegal activity of illegals coming across that border without any security whatsoever. And there's basically no security at the border right now.
Yes. No, there is zero. And everyone is going to be affected by this. Even if they don't even understand it yet, you are getting affected by it. So when you make a phone call to try to get into your doctor right now and you have to wait a month or 2 or 3, and then when you go into your doctor's office, you see people that do not even pay. They don't have any insurance. They don't have anything. They cannot speak English, but they got in, maybe not before you, but they got in and they're not paying their bill. And I'm here struggling with the little insurance that I have, trying to pay my copay. It's already affecting you. It is affecting you if you don't even realize it.
That's Lizzie Sparks. Projo's here. I'm Vic Faust. Stay with us here. We're going to have some fun in this 9 o'clock hour. We'll get to some things. We'll do some interesting, we think maybe interesting. We'll see when it comes to the Free for All Friday, Conspiracy Theory Friday, some weird things that are going on out there. By the way, David Sparks says Cortland Sykes might be a good person to talk about border information. He is the congressional liaison for the border, the Homeland Security Border Office. Yeah, that would
we'll get him on. He's married to Chanel Rion. So, David, you go ahead and you just text him right now and get him on.
Did Mike Pence last week really say the border is not a concern?
Yes, he did.
I don't remember him saying that.
He did say that. Well, because there's no coverage of it. Now, it was kind of taken out of context when what he said, but he does. He acts like it's not really that big of a concern, basically because we have bigger fish to fry than the border. And if anyone had any doubt that Mike Pence isn't one of them, and what I'm saying is stumping for the Democrats and Nancy Pelosi, you just have to look close at him.
I don't think he's stumping for the Democrats.
I do.
I just don't think he's a very good Republican these days after, fortunately,
Well, do you know he was
Tucker
in
ruined
on
his
it with
career.
Nancy Pelosi on J6? Both of them are the ones that denied the National Guard. Nancy Pelosi's getting blamed for that, but Mike Pence was in on that too. What in the world is that? Why would you not? If you think that there's going to be this big insurrection, and even if there's not, there was millions of people there. Anytime you have that many people with angst, why don't you have the National Guard?
I know. Aaron, by the way, we did bring up the whole situation with Ukraine when he was already on life support, so to speak, as a candidate. And then Tucker just crushed him down. Michelle called him a traitor. So yeah, we did see that. Donna says, I feel sorry for the teachers trying to teach these illegals that don't even speak English. Once again, people, it is slowing down our educational
It sure is.
situation for the kids. By the way, we're grateful to Complete Auto Body Repair. They're our show sponsor. If you have anything with your vehicle in the St. Louis metropolitan area, give them a call, look them up, let them know you heard about them. They'll treat you well, whether you say it from Cancel This or not, but they'll really treat you well if you say that you heard about them from cancelthisshow.com. Complete Auto Body Repair. That's CompleteAB.com. Curtis and crew, check them out. They'll take care of it. We have talked about so many people on this show, listeners, viewers who get over there, including Lizzie and her family, who I think have made multiple trips
We sure have.
to
Love them.
over to Complete AB. CompleteAB.com. Also, if you're looking, it's that time of year getting back to school. If you're younger kids, sports, or if you're just somebody who's dealing with some issues when it comes to your feet, your ankles, your knees, check in with Dr. Mahesh Bagway, drmaheshbagway.com. One of the best orthopedic surgeons you're going to find. He's a guest of ours. He comes in studio. I have taken my kids to see him. And when it comes to those experiences, we've had 2. They've been perfect. My kids were back. I don't want to see him for myself. That's for sure. No knees, no ankle problems. Don't want him. But if you do, give him a call. He'll also advise you the right way to get you up and running as well. Of course, Kathy Helbig Strict with Realty Experience Partners. You're not going to find a better real estate agent. She comes on every Wednesday. She explains everything that you need to know. The people who have called her have been grateful with the information that they have gotten to decide what they need to do in these challenging times of real estate. 314-276-SOLD, 314-276-SOLD, 314-276-SOLD. And by the way, on a side note, if you're wanting to get some updates, get that boost of energy, their health and wellness clinics are kicking butt. There's a reason why so many people continue to go. If you have any questions, just go to New Age, that's NEU, newagehealthwellness.com, newagehealthwellness.com. They take care of men and women.
I made my appointment already.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Be honest and let people know how you feel. If it works, if it doesn't.
Yes, I'm very excited about
whether it's energy, whether it's the testosterone, whether it's the semaglutide shots, which have become so popular. We'll get into that. Of course, Strategic Air Services, no better place to fly luxury or private. They're also looking for employees. You can let us know about that. Just contact us. We'll get you in contact. Or you can go to Strategic Air Services website. Let them know you heard about it on canceltheshow.com. They took a crew to South America yesterday. Yeah. It took crew down to South America. So that was a big flight. They had to take care of that, but that was running well as cool. And new sponsor, new advertiser with the show, Vehicle Protection Group, Biff McCullough and crew. If they're looking for some employees, everybody seems to be looking for employees, but his top people are making 6-figure money and they're taking inbound calls, dealing with people who are curious about warranties, car warranties, warranties for several different types of situations. If you're interested or know somebody, you can contact Todd at vpcnetwork.com, Todd at vpcnetwork.com. And of course, it's that time of year. Take a look at your windows. You can improve your payments when it comes to your energy, become energy efficient. Renewal by Anderson. You can literally log on, go to canceltheshow.com. You can click on Renewal by Anderson, one of our partners. You can get a quote, a free quote. They'll come out. They'll take a look at it. It'll add value to your house as well. And if you get something, it also helps our show. This is canceltheshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks and Projo. It's a Friday, and we're just trying to look at whatever we can. It's crazy stuff out there. It was kind of a hodgepodge week because we couldn't find anything that we felt was so like over the top crazy when it comes to paranormal or conspiracy, because we were talking about aliens already this week.
Right. The ghosts are laying low this week.
Aliens, ghosts, some of those things. We do want to promote the fact that next Friday, we have a national guest to speak about Antarctica.
Can't wait.
So get your questions ready. We are going to be ready for that next week. Very excited to have. His name's John. I'm not going to give you his last name yet.
Yeah, don't give it out.
But we booked him, and we'll have John on next Monday to talk about everything Antarctica, why it's important, what seems to be there from an evidence standpoint, why the government has kept so quiet. Why aren't we allowed to go there? Like, you just can't show up there and make a trip to Antarctica, but you can everywhere else in the world.
Correct.
We're going to get into all of that next Friday. But we do have some interesting things that were going on, and we're trying to jump in and just to see. Okay, AI gets involved. You can do a lot of things with AI. You can do a lot of things with music. Somebody told us, take a look at music. So we did. We found some stuff on TikTok. When it comes to the whole situation regarding could Jay-Z actually be a female?
These days, of course.
Singing after you put cadence and certain staccato in, but then you can reproduce the music and then associate it, let's say, with Cardi B and say it's actually his voice. I don't just check this stuff out. It's so bizarre.
It is.
Real or not, this is part of our Conspiracy Theory Friday.
Have you ever heard the conspiracy theory that some of your favorite artists are frauds with no vocal talent and their vocals are recorded by other famous artists? I think we're being lied to because Nicki Minaj sounds exactly like Jay-Z if you just slow her songs down.
Yo, I never fucked Wayne, I never fucked Drake.
All my life, man, fuck sake. If I did, I'm Minaj with him.
Let him eat my ass like a cupcake.
And listen to him singing Anaconda. Jay-Z is a super freaky girl.
By the way, what he say? He can tell I ain't missing no meal. Come through and follow him in my automobile. Let him eat it with his grill. He telling me to chill.
The music industry will do anything to make money, so the theory goes that they find an artist with a profitable voice and tone, and then they pitch it up or down and give it to someone that they think could be a profitable image and face for that voice.
When my homies pull up on your block, they make that thing go grata-ta-ta. Hey. When my homies pull up on your block, they make that thing go grata-ta-ta.
Either Nicki and Jay-Z record for each other because they're both rappers with a New York accent, Adele records for Sam Smith because they're both British singers who only sing depressing ballads, and Justin records for Post Malone because they're both male pop stars with a similar edge. No artists have commented on this, obviously, but they all seemingly affirm that they do their own vocals. But you need to hear the craziest example, which is Adele and Sam Smith, but before I play it, make sure you follow so you finally know the craziest conspiracy theories about each of these celebrities and request who you want to see next.
Wow, that last one
Isn't
kind
that
of freaked me
interesting?
out a little bit. And you know they've been doing that to us for years. Look at Milli Vanilli. Remember that? I mean, they've been doing this kind of
That's where they perfected the craft of doing it.
Yes, was with Milli Vanilli, and then years later
Yeah,
we find out that
They're rolling in their graves. They'd be real popular right now.
they
with
would be real popular.
dancing to other people's songs.
Yes, but that last one, they do sound very
I heard
similar.
similarities with all of them.
Yes, yes. But you know what I thought was interesting? And somebody said that, and I'm going to go ahead and say it because most people won't say it. But the rappers that were saying those disgusting things in the first songs, and then they had the audacity to say that Jason Aldean was bad. But come on. I mean, listen to that. But here I'm going to say something that's going to sound really radical, but it's the truth. And I can get by with it because I have a multiracial family.
I thought you were going to talk about balls again.
Well, okay, yeah, balls. Okay, so so I'm going to talk about balls. Yeah, so I have balls in saying this for sure. But okay, so if a white person would say any of those things that those black rappers say, could you imagine the outrage? There is a stickler thing in music and out there that black people do get by with things that white people don't because they're going to be screamed that they're a racist.
Of course.
And it's the truth. And people don't want to say that.
But black people who say that will say that they've earned the right and you don't have any idea.
And that you don't understand because you're white.
But it's a respect factor.
Correct.
I think I might have talked about this before when I played football at Mizzou. Myself and one of my teammates who was white were given the quote privilege. We were honored with the privilege to use the N-word if we wanted to with certain
right.
Yeah, with certain players that were black. So I mean, it's every quote society, every group has their own little rules, but from a national standpoint,
yes. Well, and my husband's a track coach.
Neither one of us use those words.
No, I've never used that word.
We're both raised better than that.
I would never use it. And my husband is a track coach, and he will see some of the children that are black call each other that and give permission to a few of the white kids. And my husband shuts that down, and he will be like, I don't care if you're black. You are not using that word in front of me. It's an awful word. You might not think it's a big deal, but he shuts that down immediate. It's ugly.
And we got into that because of the music and what you just heard from words being said and things of nature when it comes to the Jason Aldean situation. So I just find it very fascinating that we all know that there's a lot of games being played with the American public.
Oh, for sure.
Wool being pulled over eyes in a variety of ways, not only from a music standpoint, but as we see from a TV standpoint. And then, of course, with AI now coming in to this situation. Were you going to say something, Joe?
I was just going to say it seems like a big social experiment.
It does, doesn't it?
They're just throwing all kinds of stuff at us and writing down what
works. Mm-hmm. You remember that movie years ago, Truman, with Jim Carrey?
Yeah, The Truman Show.
I feel like we're living that now. I remember watching it and thinking it was surreal, and I was like, thank God that's a movie that's not true.
Oh, there's a whole theory behind that too?
Yeah, we're living the Truman movie. We are these little
Do you
guinea
mean
pigs.
what we've talked about, like the Matrix?
Kind of. Well, it's kind of like we live in these little worlds, and I especially have seen it since the pokey thing, the pandemic, is we are just living in this world that is being controlled. Like we are little mice, or we're these little people in Truman, and there's people up here telling us what to do.
The moon is hollow, and aliens are
Right.
doing
Right.
They're orchestrating everything from the moon.
Yes, yes. Like Jessica says, it is a total social experiment, from the C word to the M word. I hate to say that word because I think we got, banned for a day for that. And the submersible and the aliens and the music, all of this, putting masks on our kids, it's all a social experiment. It almost makes me think like BG, who's the guy that's behind all this, is like warped in the head. And he's like, ha, 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 what can I do next to pull their little puppet strings? I know that's a conspiracy, but I feel like that sometimes.
You know that Elon Musk changed Twitter to X.
Yes. Yes.
Does anybody think, and I know Robert Peterball, one of the viewers that we've had in the past, has been very outspoken against Elon, saying that he tries to act like he cares about people, but he has an evil background. When you look at X, do you guys get into this? Do you get into conspiracy theory that there's something behind Elon with a hidden name meaning, because now he has gone X, as you see for our listeners on the podcast? Does X have anything to do with the Freemasons? So we show our viewers and we tell our listeners on the podcast, showing a picture regarding X. And why did Elon go to X?
That's a good question.
Does anybody see any issue with that at all?
You know what? I don't know what I think about that.
I look at that and I'm like, I didn't when I saw it, but it was brought to my attention.
I guess you can make anything into a Freemason, because so many people, talk about how evil all that is. So, I mean, it could be evil, but isn't one of his kids' name X? That's what I thought it was.
Yes.
That's why I thought it was changed. And I think he's just, for as smart as he is, he's a simpleton socially. And so it'd be easy for him to call his kid X instead of Xavier. I've
always wondered what the hell's going on with Elon. I'll tell you that right now, because everything seemed too good to be true. That's again why I want to see him fight Zuckerberg.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Which why I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Not, but I want to see it.
But I will never forget our listeners sending us some video about Elon. So he comes out. Is it something with Freemasons or not? And then you look at some of the videos that have been posted about him in the past in regards to where he has shown up. Is this Elon? Is there something with Elon? Check it out.
If you pay close attention to the design, you can see that his costume has the Baphomet's head on his chest and his arm, and it also has a backwards cross on there. So this is a very satanic outfit, and Elon Musk is letting us know in plain sight who he works for by wearing this. And also he's showing his phone, and the time says 10:32, and I'm not sure what that means.
10:32. Wonder what that means.
I don't know. No, I don't.
I know Donna's saying in the Bible, X is the sign of the serpent. So I don't know.
It could be a stretch, but for somebody in his position to wear something so controversial is kind of strange.
That is strange,
isn't it?
He
and that's not the first.
That
but that's not the first time either,
right? He had to have known that
because he's done it in other times.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. He's an odd human. And I know a lot of people hated him before because he was the man of the electric cars. And then now the left hate him because now they think he's conservative, when the whole time he might not even be thinking about that at all. He's so highly intelligent. I think he's even on the spectrum, if not completely autistic. And so if that is the case, he's just doing strange things to do strange things that maybe have no meaning.
Well, I was listening to a perspective from a guy that was talking about why he thinks Elon Musk is an evil person, and it's regarding everything that he has from a business standpoint. Now, Elon Musk is calling out liberals. He's calling out Democrats. He's calling out Biden. He's calling out term limits right now regarding what happened. He actually responded specifically to what happened with Mitch McConnell. So it makes you wonder what's out there. And then you hear people talk like this about Elon.
Dude, can I tell something crazy? Look this up. when you turn on a Tesla, look at the camera. Okay, when you turn on a Tesla, there's something. I think Tesla's shit, right? It's a surveillance car. That shit's 100%.
Damn it, dude! Another one.
They're a data company.
I have no idea what's going on in this world,
brother.
Go on, finish.
Brother,
sorry.
Elon Musk is like Lex Luthor. He wants to implant a chip in your brain. He owns the internet, the satellites on the internet. He owns your car. He owns your Wi-Fi. Now he owns your social media platform, and he owns the AI, and he owns the information that's gonna feed the AI. And you think, dude, at any moment they can blackmail the dude for doing something that he wasn't supposed to do.
He's blackmailable?
Anybody's blackmailable, brother.
Well, and Teslas, and I've said this before on the show, I have Teslas. Pretty soon, all the Teslas are all going to be gone because all the kids are going to be moving back in their own home. But I've seen Teslas up close, and you can look at it two different ways. One, that it's just a smartphone and it's really cool. I think that's what my millennial kids look at.
A moving smartphone.
Yeah, a moving smartphone that's really
No doubt
cool
about
that
that.
you can program it and it does cool lights and it does really cool things. And so I used to think like that guy before the Teslas were at our house. Now, if you have a smartphone, you really cannot diss a Tesla. Sorry, you can, but you can't because it's just a smartphone on wheels. That's all it is. I mean, you can literally drive that car with your smartphone. However, just as your smartphone and your computer can kind of malfunction, the Tesla does weird things. I mean, it does. The trunk opens on its own and things, just weird kind of things happen. But I don't know if it's because Elon is opening the trunk. I think it's just a complete smartphone that one of my kids maybe accidentally hit it and the trunk goes open.
Do you think there's something evil with Elon Musk?
I think he's strange. I think he's very strange, but I don't know if evil's the word, but I hear that guy's point of view and go, makes me wonder.
Odd doesn't equal evil. However, he's definitely odd.
Correct. That's what I think too. Odd doesn't always equal evil.
I'm going more odd too.
I'm going more odd too.
Jay says it's a damn car, people.
It is. It's a car. And I agree, Jay. And I don't know what you're meaning.
And Jessica thinks Elon is a total shill.
He could be.
So does Robert.
A part of me does. I jump on board with him. He might not have the best of intentions.
Yeah, I don't know that he has the best of intentions. And that's why all the conservatives all of a sudden thought he was great because of Twitter. And you can see people are making it a political thing, even about a car. And Jay goes, it's a damn car, people. And I agree with that. It is not as nefarious as you think. I mean, it's sitting in my garage, and it's the only thing that's nefarious about it is sometimes my daughter-in-law or my son scare the hell out of me because I walk up and the car has no noise. And all of a sudden there's the car.
The car has a brain and intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like other cars.
That is true. It is very different. But people get it for different reasons. Because like I said, my millennial kids have it and they don't think anything nefarious. They don't think it's better than a gas car. They just like it. They just think it's cool and you barely step on the gas and it just flies. And my son will drive into work with it programmed to get there.
Okay. We talk about the cars. What about our phones? We have spoken about our phones. We understand, and we have talked about on this show as we broke it down, that our cell phones and iPhones are devices that show us. Have you heard that they take pictures of us? They take pictures of us when we don't know.
No.
Every now and then.
But I bet it's right.
No, it is an interesting conspiracy theory when it comes to our iPhones. And then we'll get into how these cameras can be placed everywhere as well. Check this out.
You need to hear this crazy conspiracy about iPhones. Have you ever thought about why an iPhone has its name? Some people think when Apple says I, it literally means I. iPhones are watching us, listening to us, and seeing everything we're doing. And some people have this link to the Illuminati. Don't believe me? What's Siri spelled backwards?
That one really got me. Iris. Siri. Iris. If that does,
that's pretty interesting.
Wow, that is
very cryptic.
That is cryptic.
It doesn't get any more cryptic than that. It doesn't. And ever since I started to study and see more about the cell phones, they scare the hell out of me because they do. Yes. And we all know when you're talking about, and we would love some examples that have happened with you guys with your cell phones, what you talk, and then boom, all of a sudden some of those things start to pop up. But with these cell phones and of course your privacy being taken away, with these cell
Yeah.
phones being around.
Mm-hmm.
It gets into so many different situations.
We agree to it with the user agreement every
Right.
time because it says
What do you mean we agree to it?
in the user agreement, it states everything that phone does. And it
Yes.
even states that you could get, audio or video or photos. If you give it
Mhm.
permission, it will take that
and use
all
it
the time.
Yes. And don't you think it's weird? I remember the first time really understanding that phone knew what was happening to me is I would get up in the morning, and if you go to the same place often, it will tell me that it's coming here to the Strategic Air Services building and how long it's going to take me to get there Monday through Friday. But it knows I'm not typically here Saturday or Sunday. So it says Sunday, it says how long it takes me to get to church because I go to the same time there. Saturday, it doesn't know what the hell I'm doing. But I mean, does either of your phones do that where it literally says if you do it in a pattern where you're going and how long it's going to take you?
Yeah, they track your patterns and habits.
Correct. And Jay's right. No one reads the user agreement, but it's there. It covers their ass because this is what they're doing. But most of us don't read the instructions on even how to make a cake.
And by the way, the iris is part of a lens, like looking like an eye,
Yeah.
opening, closing, which all gets back to the iPhone and the iPhone, iris, watching you, taking pictures of you.
Have you ever heard of the Eye in the Sky song by the Alan Parsons Project? That kind of reminds me of all this going on. If you go back and listen to the lyrics, it's
heard that the other day.
talking about this. I did too, is why somebody mentioned on the chat, not just the Eye in the Sky, but I listened to the song about a week ago and I used to really love them and they were way ahead of their time. If you listen to their lyrics.
I can read your mind.
Yes.
I can read your mind. I do. That's, oh my God, that's bizarre.
Yeah, we should find the lyrics of that.
Well, it is also interesting too. We know about the history of The Simpsons and the predictions that have happened. There is also a Simpsons episode where they're talking as a family, and guess what happens? There is a massive, what appears to be warehouse of people on headsets listening to everybody's conversations. And then when they hear somebody talk about, oh, we got to do this, we got to fight back, somebody's like, I got one. And a red light goes off from a Simpsons episode where they jump up and they start talking. Is that going on? Is it going on with the cell phones? Because now we literally, as Joe, you said, sign our rights away, give information away because we're trusting, because things have been easy for us.
The only thing is now it's not a room full of people with headphones on. It's AI listening for keywords and phrases.
Right.
And Jay says you make 10,000 episodes, you're bound to get some stuff right occasionally. Yeah,
That's
I
true.
get it.
That's true.
But guess what? There's been a lot of stuff.
A lot of
that
stuff
has done that. Of course, Jessica says, of course, LOL, my husband and I always debate the man in the moon. NASA has told us to no avail. We do not have the technology anymore to put the man on the moon. That's why I question whether we had people on the moon. I'm sorry.
I do too. I question it.
Because we have shown, did we show the videos here before?
I think we did, but somehow we destroyed the technology that got us there in the first place.
Why would we
Now
destroy it?
it's so difficult to recreate it. It doesn't make any sense.
That's bull.
Aaron also reminds us all, hey, people, it's also the room of people programming the AI to do exactly what it is that they want to do when it comes to watching us, looking at us, seeing what we're going to do. This is cancelthisshow.com. On Fridays, we kind of go off the beaten path and talk about some things.
It's fun. We don't know if a lot of it's true, but I mean, if you put all the pieces together, just like how we made the analogy of eye in the sky, there's something to a lot of this, for sure.
We continue to talk about it with the phones, with the cameras, with the privacy. And it's not like we did a deep dive with this, but it really, anytime I go anywhere now, and this has only been in the last few months, if I'm in another house, if I'm at a hotel, I'm looking around. If I'm in a bathroom, I am now looking. Are there cameras?
Right, I do too.
Because of the whole privacy issue.
Yes.
I know it's not exactly government watching us, but we know cameras are everywhere.
They're everywhere.
I remind my kids about this. Like when you go outside, and for me, I don't have a problem with it if it's going to help with crime, if you're going to use these sorts of things. But cameras are everywhere. Little cameras, tiny cameras.
Yes.
I was looking at me in alarm clocks, cameras, teeny, and you understand this from being in video production. Is this something that's concerning to you from the standpoint, Projo, of what people can do?
It's very concerning because I know exactly what all these cameras can do, and if hackers can access them, because all even home security, everything runs through your home network. If somebody can hack your home network, they can have access to all your cameras and all your smart devices, your lights, everything in your house.
Yes, everything. I know we went and stayed in like a VRBO, a vacation place in Lake of the Ozarks. And I looked up and there was camera, and they owned several houses in a row. There was cameras everywhere. And one of my kids was going to go on someone else's slide. And I said, you know, those cameras can see you, that if you go to the next door neighbor slide, you're going to be on camera.
What do you mean the next door neighbor slide?
Well, it was on a lake, and it was like people wanted to, just like a diving board, like a slide, and she wanted to get on it, and it wasn't her property. And I'm like, you do understand that if you get on that, there's a camera watching you. She did it anyway, and so she went on somebody else's property and went down the slide anyway. But it was when I was a kid, I didn't even think twice about that. I just go get on a slide. I just jump and do whatever I want. But our kids don't have that fun, anonymous feel. I mean, she was trespassing technically, going down someone else's slide into the lake, but I was just freaked out. There was cameras everywhere. I mean, every inch of these properties.
Did you know that your 5G router at home can actually it does 3D imaging with the waves that it so somebody who has the technology can actually see stuff that's going on in your house just because of the waves that are bouncing around in your house can be collected, and they can actually make images.
Okay, you just gave me chills. You have to repeat that.
Yeah, say that again.
Okay, so if we have 5G routers in the home, you said somebody else, bad person, has technology. How would they have technology to be able to utilize the 5G waves that are bouncing around my home?
It works kind of like a radar. They can map the waves that are bouncing around in your house through your 5G router. But it has to be a 5G router. That's why everything went to 5G. So now...
Well, what do you mean that's why everything went to 5G? To spy on us?
I believe so.
You need to speak up more, Projo.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll turn my mic up. But
no, I mean like speak up.
Speak up, because you say great things.
You have all this,
I
this
got you.
info.
He does.
Sorry.
He's got a plethora of good knowledge
So
up in his head.
what happens?
So the 5G router works as like a radar transmitter. It bounces waves around in your house and collects those waves back. They can use that information to actually guess images, like where you're at in the house, what pose, what position you're in. And I wouldn't imagine if they can do, I mean, I can imagine that they can do it in real time, and actually almost like, you remember the Batman movie where they use the cell phones to triangulate everything, and they actually like can see through walls and stuff? That's the same technology.
Jay says sonar, not radar.
Basically.
I get it.
Yes.
Donna says a friend of mine's car camera picked up somebody's front porch.
Yeah.
That was really weird.
That would be weird. And Aaron's right. A lot of electric companies and even gas companies are putting those 5G meters on them you don't even have a choice whether you have them or not, because apparently it's easier for them to get the usage by using that.
Well,
Very
Donna says, just think
strange.
about it. You can put up an antenna and receive pictures from thousands of miles away. That's true.
That is true. That is true. I think most of it is probably to make our life easier, or the company that's doing its life easier. But is that just me trying to rationalize all that? Because
I think that's rationalizing, because that's intrusive to...
I agree. And you're right. I'm rationalizing it, even though I know deep down it's not right. But what do? They'll take your electric and your gas off if you don't have those meters now. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I agree. It's intrusive, but it's almost like our way of life.
Dawn says, I put Post-it notes over every camera at my work laptop.
Yes. That is very smart to do. I don't have it on the one here at work, but at home, we have them on all of our computers, because we know someone was spying on us once, and we don't know that it was on purpose, but we owned a preschool, and every time one of my teachers would do something, we would have things come through the computer and people saying they were seeing us. So we've since then put Post-it notes on the eye of the camera. I don't here, but at home we do.
I do that at home as well.
You did, and I never have, but I'm going to start.
Yeah. for sure.
I'm gonna
We've
start.
had somebody look
Because
at
yes,
us.
Troy, it's essentially if I'm by myself or
Yes.
if I'm in a bathroom or if I'm naked or whatever.
They
I
can
mean,
see you.
it is what it is.
Yeah,
so.
if I'm sitting like and I'm looking at my phone on the toilet, I make sure that the camera's pointed away.
Right?
Are you
Right?
serious?
Yeah, that's how conscious I am of this.
God,
Yeah.
the whole topic just and it's only because I saw something on TikTok that I'm like, holy shit. If I've been in a hotel room and they were showing how cameras are in alarm clocks
Yes. Yes.
and mirrors
I unplugged the
and
alarm
bathroom
clock.
mirrors, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
There you can actually have cameras on your lapel that are shaped like pin size. That
Right. That are
full
so
HD.
little.
Yeah.
I recommend when you do go to a hotel room, you unplug the clock and the mirror. You got to be very careful. If there's the ones that can look back at you. Have you ever been in a hotel where it looks like the TV's on the mirror or something like that? They can be looking at, they have some capacity to look at you. So I put a towel over those. I don't stay in many like that, but I have stayed some, and I just put a towel over it because I don't want them looking at me.
Okay.
I mean, just think about it. That's just, and it's not so much that, I mean, wow, that's really something to look at. It's just weird.
This is the way we have to live.
It
daily now.
is. It is. It's crazy.
Karen says I cover all my cameras. Like, what do you mean by all cameras? It just laptop and your phone?
Well, even your your laptop, your phones. If you have, like, we have, like, even on the alarm
I mean,
system.
if you have a Ring camera, I
Yes,
mean, why?
yes.
What do you mean cover it? Though you need that open.
Well, you do, but if you're home, you can cover it. When you leave, you can uncover it because you don't want anybody seeing you inside your house, but you can still keep, like, at home, we have cameras all on the outside of our house, and I don't ever cover those, but the ones on the inside, I turn them backwards. Like, you can turn them around because it's really weird. I mean, we've caught, like, one of my kids, we knew she was lying. So I'll be honest, we watched her and she was like, no, I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that. And so my husband's like, see, we have it right here. And she had no idea we had been watching her.
You used a camera on your kids?
I did use, well, she was, one of our kids was like beating up the youngest.
I don't know how I feel about that or not. I have to think about that. There could be some positive things with that.
All of my older kids thought it was great because she went through a stage where she lied about everything, would beat up the baby. And so we were like, and so sometimes they were left home by themselves. So my husband put a camera on her, watched it, then went flying home, and she still denied it. And my husband showed her what happened. So, I mean, there are some uses.
No, I've seen those. I've seen
them.
those shows in, like, the movies called, like, Cheaters.
Yes, yes. Like Cheaters. Well, and baby monitors are on camera now. My granddaughter has that.
And I've seen some spooky stuff with that.
Yeah, and that freaks them out every once in a while. They unplug it or hide it too because they can hear different conversations, just like the old listening baby monitors. Now you can see people. It's bizarre.
We also have, Jeannie says, we found a camera in our tiki hut in Florida.
Yeah.
See, those are some bizarre things that are happening as well. It's just, and
you got to be careful of Airbnbs.
Correct. And I understand why. If you owned a bunch of property like the one that we were at, you'd want to put some cameras outside at least because people just beat up your property and you want to know who did it. But in the same token, wow, I mean, they're watching you.
If your Airbnb has a Ring doorbell, keep this in mind that they can access that Ring doorbell and hear the audio of what's going in the house. Those cameras have microphones that pick up stuff that's going on inside the house.
Correct.
Man, I think I agree with Shay. She says, quote, that's a lot to remember.
It is.
Cover,
She's
to
right.
uncover. LOL, if I did that, I may as well not have a camera.
She's not wrong. She's not wrong. So, I mean, maybe in the house you don't want to have any at all and you just put them on the outside, but your computers and your TVs are still watching you. And if you have an Alexa, you know they're watching you.
Jeannie says, yeah, we just gave them something to watch.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. You know, there's something to be said for that. If they're going to look at you, give them something to look at.
But I've always wondered, okay, if somebody's watching us, if somebody's listening, who is it? And how many people do they have? And where are they? Because that would be a whole lot of work to deal with all the Americans that we have in this country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, just imagine the owners of these Airbnbs are sitting at home on their computer or whatever. Look at that dumbass. Look at that dumbass, what they're doing. They're probably talking about you.
This is a little bit scary. Greg says they have an AI show now where it's like Paradise Island. But Paradise Island, I guess it's like couples going. Try to
Oh,
date.
yeah.
Um, So they create an alternative AI scene or scenes for contestants to watch.
Oh, wow.
And then they have to decide if it's true or not. Boyfriend cheat or not. Oh, that's a bunch of crap. That's not even cool. That
is weird.
Well, it gets back to that whole situation that we've talked about before on this show where you can create video and say, well, we're arresting you or we need this because we have video of you being there. And you're like, well, I was never there. And then AI video has created you being there. Or an image that looks like you from certain place. Yeah, we have video. We've created video. We have AI video.
Trust is becoming a commodity.
Angie says Angie joins us from the UK. She's like, yep, and over here, Vic as well.
Yeah, it's going on everywhere.
Dawn says, don't say Alexa, Joe, because she just lit up.
Yeah, we lit up Dawn's Alexa with that word.
I mean, it can happen.
That does happen. You figure.
Guys just said it like 2 or 3 times.
Hi, Alexa. Hey, Dawn's Alexa. We love you.
AI from the grave. It's a thing. Yeah, we talked about that when we did our AI show just a little bit. We'll get back to another AI show as well. But these are some of the things that are happening. It gets us talking about it when it comes to what we were talking about with the cell phone, the eye, the iris. Siri backwards is iris, and information that can be taken from you and used. And for whatever reasons, I have no idea. But it is interesting what is happening with your laptops, with your computers, with the cell phones, and all of the technology that's out there right now. I don't know what to think on it. I just got a little freaked out when I saw the technology of the little cameras all over the place that are spying on you. And then, of course, I didn't know if it had anything to do with a verbal aspect as well, which you said that some of them can have recording for audio.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if you think of it like Greg was talking about earlier, if they have some sort of technology that works kind of like Daredevil, it goes off of sound, the way that the sound bounces off of things. If AI can get that smart to actually, I mean, you'd be able to, through a Ring doorbell, you'd be able to tell what's going on inside the house.
That is crazy.
Hey, Alexa, play Cancel This.
Oh, no, that's a good one. Now that one should be allowed. That you go right up to your Alexa, and you can't do that because we had our Alexa. It plays music outside, and we asked it to play Cancel This. I think it has to be live. Now it can play through that when it's recorded, but you can make your Alexa go right to Cancel This.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. Gosh, it is a free-for-all Friday. We get into a little bit of the topics. Next week, it's all Antarctica on Friday. Can't wait for that. Joe, do we have anything else that we had in there, or did we get through everything? I can't even remember.
We have like 3 more videos.
Hey,
good. Play one.
Play whatever you want, Joe, because we're kind of all over the place today.
Let's do CIA Island.
Oh, good. Let's do that.
Oh, we can get into the CIA Island stuff. Wow.
The CIA doesn't want you to know that this island exists. It's called Diego Garcia, and it is located in the Indian Ocean. In 2008, Time magazine published an article about the island of Diego Garcia, stating that it is where the CIA takes all its detainees to torture them. But they also believe that the CIA conducts experiments beneath this island. Have you heard about the Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 that disappeared? In reality, this flight may not have vanished. It landed there, and they abducted the people from the plane and subjected them to torture. The reason we might think this is because there was an IBM employee on the plane who posted a photo 10 days after the plane's disappearance. The photo showed what looked like some sort of experimental room. And if you look at the geographic coordinates of the photo, it matches this island.
I believe it.
I do too. That is really bizarre. I mean, you don't know what to believe, but it seems plausible.
That's pretty interesting.
That is very
allegedly
interesting.
that flight that disappeared, there was never any exact location, which is just crazy in this day and age. That just doesn't happen with all of the radar that we have in the technology. I mean, how they even went down and found the little capsule 2 months ago near the Titanic. That was fairly easily found. How you cannot find the Malaysia, I have no idea. Now, allegedly, debris washed up in different places. Governments say, but how could you never find the crash site?
Yeah, that's odd.
With all of the pinpoint accuracy
Uh-huh.
that we can have from technology, they never found it. So I don't know.
That's strange. Very.
And I did hear allegedly about a picture being posted, but I don't know. Or like 10 days later, it makes you wonder.
10 days.
But aren't we at the point where most of us we're pretty on the same page of the government could do anything with us?
Yes.
Right.
Anything is possible and probably.
For sure.
What else do we got, Joe?
We have one more, actually. Rockefeller.
Oh, this was bizarre.
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me. I love you, Richard Mill. What do you do for a living? It's for I have a watch show.
Do you see his face?
Yeah,
So that's an odd thing to do, though. If you walk up to somebody on the street and talk about their expensive watch, and then ask them what they do, I kind of understand the response.
Correct, because that is very intrusive to ask that. And
I get it, but a $350,000 watch,
right?
Oh yeah, no, it was an expensive.
Out in the middle of the day, and you just
you don't see that.
It was eerie and it was creepy in that look.
For sure.
What do you do for a living, though?
I know. I get the question. I do.
I get why somebody would ask that very innocently enough. Because what do you do if you have that expensive of a watch? That's more expensive.
It depends on the person.
I could understand the curiosity behind,
but I wouldn't ask.
Yeah,
I wouldn't ask.
But if you're wearing a $350,000 watch, you do something pretty damn special.
Yes,
for sure.
You do.
100.
Yeah. And just because you're wearing it doesn't mean that you have to put up with somebody asking, but you have to assume that somebody is.
Greg says it's a Spanish reality show. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well,
but they caught those people. That's for sure.
Yeah, and the one guy, I think, isn't he supposed to be, or he's supposed to look like one of the Rockefellers or whatever?
I think so.
One of the Rockefellers.
Yeah. It was one of those types of deals. Anyway, we appreciate you guys having some fun with us with some of those things on this Free for All Friday. That's what we're trying to do during the 9 o'clock
it's so
hour.
fun. It's just so different. It's fun.
And of course, we'll do it next week on Friday with Antarctica.
Love it.
We'll take some time. We'll deep dive, come up with some questions, and we'll do that as well. We'll have all kinds of guests again next week. Did you have anybody booked yet? I can't remember if you did or not.
No.
And if you did, that's fine.
Yeah, no, but I have a whole list of people that are maybes. So some good things are coming.
Okay. We'll get into all of that next week. We appreciate you guys. Thanks again. Thank you, Paula. Thanks for everybody who's listening, who's watching. Greg says he has a $3.50 Casio watch.
Me too, Greg.
If I was a billionaire, I've never been a watch guy.
I'm not. I don't have one. I've never been a watch.
You're a watch guy?
Yeah, so you might get
I like
one.
watches. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, mine's not expensive. However, I like having a
You like having a watch. Yeah.
That's because I like to be watched and viewed all day with
That's
myself.
right. That's because we
with
like to be
my
monitored.
I don't mind being monitored by the Iris, which is Siri backwards. If you guys ever have anything from a conspiracy standpoint, a free-for-all paranormal Friday show, let us know, and let us know who we need to be talking to about, and then we'll do that. AI didn't see Epstein murder or Obama's chiefs drowning either. That coming from a viewer as well. So I'm going to have to cancel this withdrawals Saturday and Sunday. Okay, but we'll catch you next week. And then Matthew says, I love my watch, and no, it isn't a smartwatch.
Matthew would get along well with you, Pro Joe.
Yeah, mine's not a smartwatch either. As a matter of fact, it's self-winding. So
self-winding.
Yeah, there's nothing electronic or smart about my watch, other than it tells time really good.
There you go. Well, Dawn says she has a St. Louis Blues watch, and it has no cameras on it.
Oh, I love it.
That's pretty impressive. I would like one of those.
Guys, thank you for your support for canceltheshow.com. Continue to like, subscribe, share the show, send stars. It all helps. Jump into all the platforms, put a like in there, everything works out very, very well. We are grateful for you helping us and promoting everything that we do on this show. So for Pro Joe and Lizzie Sparks, I'm Vic Faust. Guys, it is Friday. Have an incredible day. Have a better weekend, and we'll catch back up with you Monday.